Greek Coast Guard threw migrants overboard to their deaths, witnesses say. The Greek Coast Guard has caused the deaths of dozens of migrants in the Mediterranean over a 3-year period, witnesses say, including 9 who were deliberately thrown into the water. The 9 are among more than 40 people alleged to have died as a result of being forced out of Greek territorial waters or taken back out to sea after reaching Greek islands, BBC analysis has found. The Greek Coast Guard told our investigation it strongly rejects all accusations of illegal activities. We showed footage of 12 people being loaded into a Greek Coast Guard boat and then abandoned on a dinghy to a former senior Greek Coast Guard officer. When he got up from his chair and with his mic still on, he said it was obviously illegal and an international crime. The Greek government has long been accused of forced returns, pushing people back towards Turkey, where they have crossed from, which is illegal under international law. But this is the first time the BBC has calculated the number of incidents which allege that fatalities occurred as a result of the Greek Coast Guard's actions. The 15 incidents we analysed, dated May 2020-23, resulted in 43 deaths. The initial sources were primarily local media, NGOs, and the Turkish Coast Guard. Verifying such accounts is extremely difficult. Witnesses often disappear or are too fearful to speak out. But in 4 of these cases, we were able to corroborate accounts by speaking with eyewitnesses. In 5 of the incidents, migrants said they were thrown directly into the sea by the Greek authorities. In 4 of those cases, they explained how they had landed on Greek islands, but were hunted down. In several other incidents, migrants said they had been put onto inflatable rafts without motors which then deflated or appeared to have been punctured. One of the most chilling accounts was given by a Cameroonian man who says he was hunted by Greek authorities after landing on the island of Samos in September 2021. Like all the people we interviewed, he said he was planning to register on Greek soil as an asylum seeker. We had barely docked and the police came from behind, he told us. There were 2 policemen dressed in black and 3 others in civilian clothes. They were masked. You could only see their eyes. He and 2 others, another from Cameroon and a man from Ivory Coast, were transferred to a Greek Coast Guard boat, he said, where events took a terrifying turn. They started with the Cameroonian, they threw him in the water. The Ivorian man said, "Save me, I don't want to die." And then eventually only his hand was above water and his body was below. Slowly his hand slipped under and the water engulfed him. Our interviewee says his abductors beat him. Punches were raining down on my head. It was like they were punching an animal. And then he says they pushed him, too, into the water without a life jacket. He was able to swim to shore, but the bodies of the other 2, Sidi Keita and Didier Marshal Kouamou Nana, were recovered on the Turkish coastline. The survivors' lawyers are demanding the Greek authorities open a double murder case. Another man from Somalia told the BBC how in March 2021, he had been caught by the Greek army on arrival on the island of Chios, who then handed him to the Greek Coast Guard. He said the Coast Guard had tied his hands behind his back before dropping him into the water. "They threw me zip-tied in the middle of the sea. They wanted me to die," he said. He said he managed to survive by floating on his back before one of his hands broke free from the ligature. But the sea was choppy, and 3 in his group died. Our interviewee made it to land where he was eventually spotted by the Turkish Coast Guard. In the incident with the highest loss of life in September 2022, a boat carrying 85 migrants ran into trouble near the Greek island of Rhodes when its motor cut out. Mohammed from Syria told us they rang the Greek Coast Guard for help, who loaded them onto a boat, returned them to Turkish waters and put them in life rafts. Mohammed says the raft he and his family were given had not had its valve properly closed. "We immediately began to sink. They saw that. They heard us all screaming and yet they still left us," he told the BBC. "The first child who died was my cousin's son. After that it was one by one. Another child, then my cousin himself disappeared. By the morning 7 or 8 children had died. My kids didn't die until the morning, right before the Turkish Coast Guard arrived." Greek law allows all migrants seeking asylum to register their claim on several of the islands at special registration centres. But our interviewees who we contacted with the help of Migrant Support Body Consolidated Rescue Group, said they were apprehended before they could get to these centers. They said these men would be apparently operating undercover, non-uniformed, and often masked. Human rights groups allege thousands of people seeking asylum in Europe have been illegally forced back from Greece to Turkey and denied the right to seek asylum, which is enshrined in international and EU law. Austrian activist Fayad Muller told us he discovered for himself how secretive such operations seemed to be in February last year, on the Greek island of Lesbos. Driving towards the location of an alleged forced return after a tip-off, he was stopped by a man in a hoodie, who was later revealed to work for the police. He said the police then attempted to delete the footage of him being stopped from his dashcam and charge him with resisting a police officer. Ultimately, no further action was taken. Thank you for watching Topics on Trend. Go ahead and check out another trending video on our channel here.